This is Beyond a Reasonable Doubt with your hosts, Mark Garrigus and Adam Carolla.
Yeah, got to get on a choice, get on Monday, get on best 15 minutes or so in the universe. It's Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. I'm Adam Carolla. It's Mark Garrigus in parts unknown, but he knows.
Southampton, Capri Hotel, having a good time.
Something that came up on my program today, because they're going to extradite Harvey Weinstein to Los Angeles so he can probably die mid-flight. But either way, we talked about the kind of grandstanding notion of it. It's definitely wasting some taxpayer money there. But I hearken back to a conversation I had with you about 2 years ago where I suggested that he should flee, that he should gas up the Learjet and head on out to whoever didn't have an extradition treaty with the United States and go full Roman Polanski. Roman Polanski did that shit in the 70s. He's still alive and drinking some Bordeaux and wine country in France as we speak. Now, it's
amazing because Roman Polanski, who I've talked to over the years periodically about coming back here, and it's interesting to me because the French have an extradition treaty, which, as you have pointed out, apparently does not cover these kinds of acts. And so why Harvey is sitting in a place in upstate New York, I think is where he is, why he's being extradited, why, by the way, have a DA, Mr. Gascon, who has characterized himself as a progressive prosecutor. Why is this guy being extradited to Los Angeles when he's got a 23-year sentence over his head, hanging over his head right now in New York State to be tried in Los Angeles? Can you explain that to me?
Well, it doesn't. It kind of flies in the face of Gascon's, sort of marching or his mission statement of, not over prosecuting people. But cheers. I still want to know. And look, I understand you have a fiduciary duty and a license and all that kind of stuff. But what about him? What about Weinstein leaving 2 years ago? Could he have pulled it off? Would it be, I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying, if you are Weinstein, do you wish you gassed up the private jet 2 years ago?
Well, the guy who would probably, I forget his name, Gary, what is his name? The ex-Nissan executive who fled from Japan and is now in Beirut, I think.
His name is Carlos Ghosn.
Carlos Ghosn.
Yeah. Carlos ended up having two guys, a father and a son, if you believe what you read, out of Japan in some kind of a box or something.
Hold on
Those
a second.
Two guys,
you broke
by
up.
the way,
you broke up for a second, Mark.
Okay.
Father and son did what?
They apparently spirited him away from Japan to Beirut, and their thanks was the U.S. extradited them from here to there, and they, I think, just either got convicted or admitted their guilt within the last couple of days, didn't they, Gary?
Yeah, they pled guilty 2 days ago, it looks like.
All right, I'm going to get...
Isn't that wild?
It is, but I still need my question answered. You're reticent to answer this question. I'm not asking you as a professional.
I can't, right? Because I can't advise somebody to flee. But I'll tell you, given the alternatives, what was the point? And Harvey was up against the greatest social movement of our time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why in the hell was he going to? And mind you, he had. I'll give you an example. He had emails from these various females who were the so-called victims or accusers, and the emails were, I love you, this, thank you for that, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden they all became, or they turned on him. Once it became apparent that the insurance companies were going to pay large amounts of money, and how in the world did he think he was going to face that?
Well, I'm not asking you to advise him, but what I am saying is, hypothetically, as he sits in his cell tonight,
right,
do you think he wishes he made that move 30 months ago?
I don't think so. I think he is the kind of guy who believes, and I know him, I've known him for years. I think he's the kind of person who believes that eventually he's going to be vindicated. I mean, there is some kind of, I don't know whether it is ego or id or whatever it is, but I just think he believes that in the end he's going to win out. And
well, with his health the way it is and his age, like I don't know how many years he has in prison, especially when he gets extradited back to Los Angeles and put on trial again for another potential 140 years of prison time. Let's turn the page and go to Tinhorn Flats. I just found out moments ago that they've lost their lease, or they've been evicted, or they're not coming back.
Yeah, well, the Tinhorn Flats is great because poor Barrett's. Can you imagine? I can only imagine if Paulette owned a piece of property and I had divorced her, and then all of a sudden she was my landlord and she was going to file an unlawful detainer. That's basically what's happened to Barrett. His ex-wife, do you know his ex-wife, by the way?
I don't know if I went to high school with her or not. I'll see if I can figure that out.
We'll see if we can figure it out. Apparently, she decided to jump on the bandwagon and file an unlawful detainer on him. I won't tell you what my advice was, but given where he's at right now and given what's happened with the city of Burbank, it's been a shit show like you can't imagine. I mean, I don't understand why the city of Burbank has done what they've done. I don't understand why this particular city council person has done what he's done. But it's clear to me that this guy, what's his name, Gary? The Constantine Anthony, I think is his name.
Correct.
Yeah, that he's just got an absolute kind of his mission statement has been to destroy Tinhorn Flats.
Well,
he thinks it's. I think, I don't want to gauge what's in his mind, but I think that this guy feels like it's some kind of a victory for him to drive Barrett into the ground. That's his.
Well, to be fair to the Burbank City Council, that's nothing personal against Tinhorn Flats. They would like to destroy any citizen and any business that dares to disagree with their decrees, no matter how insane their decrees are. So it's probably nothing personal. They just don't really like taxpayers who don't listen to them when they make insane decrees. But somehow we cheer this on.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Explain it to me, because to me it makes absolutely no sense. I don't understand. Why is it that you want to take somebody who's been there? I mean, the business was there for 50 years, and he's owned it for a period of time. I've got pictures of him with the current mayor. I've got all kinds of other things that he's done that have been, I think, supportive of the community. Why is it you want to destroy this guy? Why is it you relish that?
Because you disagreed with His Highness, and that's what it's turning into these days. You know, why would you arrest a guy on a paddleboard in the Santa Monica Bay? Why would you do any of this stuff? It's about power, and we become subjects. And the sad part is all the sheep that agree with the people that are in power. Mainly, they're frightened. And speaking of this COVID-19 and a lot of the stuff that's been coming out in the past couple of weeks, you know, we talked about the hypothetical of a lawsuit against China and a kind of a...
Which, by the way, every day gets better and better from getting over the sovereign immunity, getting over all of the hurdles that there are.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue with act of God stuff like it came from a pangolin or a bat or something, but now they have footage of bats inside the lab, and every day, as you say, and probably not every day, every 4 hours, there's more information that comes out about the lab leak. So it's a couple of lawsuit things. First off, guys like Senator Tom Cotton, who were called insane and tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists a year ago, all over the news for suggesting it may have came out of the lab. Do those guys have some sort of legal recourse against, I don't know, CNN or MSNBC or ABC or USA Today or anyone who kind of impugned their reputation by calling them insane for something that turns out to be true?
You know, I have a question. I saw on your ACS the segment on my friend Toobin and whose RD followers. Can you reprise that for a second? Your because I'm going to make the point. I'm going to bring it all together for you.
You broke up a little. It's Toobin and being reinstated to CNN?
Yeah, Toobin being reinstated at CNN. You had my understanding, I didn't listen to it, but I saw the summary. You had some kind of a reaction to it on ACS.
We had a clip of it, which is probably the most uncomfortable 90 seconds ever to be captured on cable TV. Did you see that?
Yes.
We'll see if Gary. We'll see if Gary can find that. I also said. I said.
I want to hear your reaction.
Well, look. I said when you get caught beating off on a conference call, we no longer need to call you Jeffrey. You're now Jeff. I feel the same way when I downgraded Charles Manson to Charlie Manson, but that's a move of a Jeff, not a Jeffrey beating off on a Zoom call. Yeah, the clip.
Is it a Jeffrey with a J or a G? Does it matter?
Yeah, I don't. There's no Jeffrey version that works for beating off on a Zoom call. You've been downgraded to Jeff.
I have a question. I like Jeff. I've known him for years. Now I call him Jeff because of you.
Thank you.
Shouldn't we have him on Thursday?
He was a good. He was a good sport about it. I mean, he showed up to the set at CNN and had the blonde anchor read him basically transcript of what his activities were. She did not sugarcoat it. She didn't say got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. There was no soft pedaling it. Do we have it, Emmy or Gary?
We will in a moment.
All right, we'll find it. We'll find it in a second.
But don't you think we need Toobin? I think we need him on reasonable doubt. I mean, by the way, we are, whether you believe it or not, Adam, reasonable doubt is the place to go in the legal world for everyone to kind of figure out what the latest breaking news is. And Toobin, I think, given his history, deserves to be on to have you ask him some questions. What would be the first question you would ask him?
Well, we'll show you the clip first, and then and then we'll circle back to that.
Let's bring in CNN chief legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin to talk about this and more. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello, Allison.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, indeed.
I feel like we should address what's happened in the months since we've seen you, since some of our viewers may not know what has happened. So I guess I'll recap. I'll do the honors.
Help yourself.
Okay. In October, you were on a Zoom call with your colleagues from the New Yorker magazine. Everyone took a break for several minutes, during which time you were caught masturbating on camera. You were subsequently fired from that job after 27 years of working there. And you, since then, have been on leave from CNN. Do I have all that right?
You got it all right. Sad to say.
All right.
Okay, so let's start there.
I think what I would do with Toobin is I would say I prepared a list.
What would you say?
I've prepared a list of behaviors and activities that most Americans frown upon. You tell me the one you'd like above masturbation or below masturbation. Like, for instance, what if I said you were suspended 8 months for being caught on a Zoom call throwing a kitten into a hamper? Would you rather have that?
No, I would. No, I'd rather jerk off.
You'll take jerk off over throwing the kitten in the hand?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You were caught doodling a swastika on a steno pad.
I still think I would take doodling.
Oh, Mark's frozen up now. Goddamn Zoom.
Did we freeze again?
You froze up. You would take doodling a swastika over.
Goddamn Zoom is right. I would take any doodling over jacking off.
Okay,
I cannot imagine. Can you imagine? I'm trying to think. What is worse?
All right. Let me keep going.
Maybe the question is, what is worse? Okay.
All right. You were suspended for 8 months after the vehicular manslaughter allegation after you hit that migrant worker on your way back from the softball game.
I'm not laughing because of that. I think ultimately you would want to be accused of a crime that implied malice as opposed to an intentional act of jacking off on with your workmates.
Okay. Arson is not a word I throw around lightly, Jeffrey, but there were allegations that the house, the burning, and your service dog that perished in the fire, there are conflicting reports that it may have been set, and it wasn't, in fact, faulty wiring.
You probably hit it. That's it.
It's just the allegation of arson. There's nothing stuck.
Yeah, I think being an arsonist, and you put a service dog in it, you combine that. I think that's it.
Okay.
With the, but by the way, maybe we need to take this to the next level. Is this so far? You're doing it from the viewpoint of us. How about CNN? What is the CNN requirement for bringing you back from leave? What do you have to do?
Well,
because that I think you could. Yeah,
they gave him 8 months, which is not 6 months, and it's not a year. It's very arbitrary in general.
It's very no. I think when you get a 1-year jail sentence, you usually get good time, work time, and you get 8 months. So it's a 1 year. It's what we call in California a bullet. It's a bullet with time served.
I would say if Jeffrey Toobin was in the room with me, I would say you were caught masturbating on a Zoom call. What were you thinking? And then he would say, I don't know, was a lapse of judgment. And then I would say, no, I want to know who you were jerking off to. I'm saying, what were you thinking?
Well, by the way, Gary, can you please show, I hope Gary's got this. Gary, please show the other people. I'm not saying male, female, or anything else. Please show the other people that were on that Zoom call. Because I'll tell you, Adam, if you...
Yes.
Oh, come on, Gary. Show it.
Gary doesn't...
Adam's going to have some insight on this.
I have not. I've never seen this. All right, let me do a spot. I'll buy Gary a minute for that. BetterHelp. Beyond a Reasonable Doubt is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Whether you're struggling with anxiety or depression, relationship issues, or trouble meeting goals, online therapy might be for you. BetterHelp assesses your needs to match you with a professional licensed therapist. Start in under 48 hours. Not a crisis line, not self-help. It's a professional counselor done securely online. Schedule weekly video or phone or live chat sessions. Log in anytime and send a message. Easy and free to change counselors if needed. Financial aid is available. It's BetterHelp, right, Gary?
That's absolutely right. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/reasonabledoubt. That's BetterHelp.com/reasonabledoubt.
All right. Does such footage exist, Gary? Oh, boy. Oh, we're looking at a screenshot.
Oh, come on, Gary. There we go. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what you're...
Well, it also means you either have a huge dick or a small dick. Yes.
I don't even. That's like a Hollywood Squares I've never seen.
We will post that picture up on our YouTube. Or you want to
if you watch this episode at youtube.com/reasonabledoubt podcast, it'll be embedded right there in the video.
All right. So go to amcroll.com for all the live shows. Mark, what do you got?
Oh, God. Come up here to Capri in Southampton. Go to Palm Springs, see Gigi's at the V Hotel. San Clemente, we've got the greatest place in the world right outside. And if you want to maybe bring your machete, come downtown to Penny or Engine Company 28.
So until next time, Adam Crow from Mark Garagos saying mahalo.
Thanks for listening to Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. Stay tuned for more bonus episodes coming soon.